Well, with me here at the Gherkin is Nabila Ramdani, a French journalist who writes for newspapers on both sides of the channel. Nice to see you again, Nabila. So is this really it for Sarko? Is the game up? Are the French really ready to re-embrace socialism?
Well, I think the end of the Sarkozy era looks very certain indeed, not least of all because 64% of the French have disapproved of President Sarkozy, and he's been the most unpopular president in the whole history of France. And although
The competition was pretty stiff.
Indeed, absolutely. And although he sounded very much emboldened yesterday when he spoke, he was underplaying the fact that he is the first incumbent in the whole history of, the French Republic to lose in the first round of an election. So it is going to be extremely hard for him to make any sort of comeback.
Do you think it really is a big anti-Sarko vote, or is it simply the case that whoever was in charge during the financial crisis has been ousted? I scribbled down before we came on air. It happened in Ireland, Italy, the UK, Spain, Greece. All those leaders were punished for the financial crisis.
Yes, indeed. But I think, although it's undeniable that Sarkozy's image was very much tarnished because of his inability to handle the economic of his country. Remember, when he came in power in 2007, he styled himself as the French Margaret Thatcher, who was going to reform France's economy profoundly. He failed to do that. The unemployment rate is 10%. People are concerned about the cost of living and tax. So his record in that respect is far from impressive. But on top of that, he has a serious problem image. He's routinely viewed as a money-obsessed president, a bit brash and vulgar. And let's not forget that there have been also allegations about serious political funding scandals.
What do you make of the near 20% vote for Le Pen? What does that tell us about modern France and what people are thinking?
I think her popularity was certainly facilitated by Sarkozy's the way he created an environment for her ideas to flourish effectively. His anti-immigration stances, his divisive policies made it easier for her ideas to become mainstream. But I think what it says also about modern France is that we have a France that is anxious about these economic circumstances. Marine Le Pen's voters are traditionally working class people. They are concerned about the lack of job opportunities. And even though Marine Le Pen has toned down, it has to be said, her father's fiery language about, anti-immigration, anti-Semitic rants for which she was condemned by French tribunals. She very much focused her campaigns on Europe. She called for the end of the euro, a return to the franc, closing the borders, and indeed, more protectionist policies.
Old-style nationalism.
Very much so.
Doesn't it also tell us that, not just in France, but right across Europe, millions of ordinary people, largely working class people, as you pointed out, have, I think, legitimate concerns about immigration, and they feel that the leaders are not listening?
Yes, indeed, and I think it's not nothing particular to the economic context in France, but I think it's a serious concern in Europe in general. And dare I say, even though François Hollande is offering very traditional socialist policies, effectively tax and spend policies, I think that's what people find quite reassuring, that a nanny state should come back and look after them.
Very briefly, with the nanny state comes Hollande's perhaps 75% tax. You live here in London. Do you expect to have a flood of countrymen if that were to come to pass?
I think there's a case for footballers, for example, Premier League footballers, to be worried.
We've already got those here. Crikey, they're nearly half the Arsenal team.
Absolutely. I think the perception is that they will always find a way around it. And it might be bad for very high earners, but not bad for the economy in general.
All right, Nabila, nice to see you. Many thanks for coming in. This is Jeff Randall.